I'm running to represent the great state of Texas in the U.S. Senate.
When Beto O'Rourke announced he was running for Senate, some pundits were skeptical. Sure, he's got that Kennedy-esque charm. He's young, charismatic, with a strong jawline. But this is Texas, the reddest state in the nation. There's no way a Democrat could win a statewide race. It's true that O'Rourke faces an uphill battle, but in some ways he's been here before, albeit on a much smaller scale. When O'Rourke first ran for Congress back in 2012, he was the underdog, challenging an 8-term incumbent, Sylvester Reyes, in the Democratic primary.
Right out of the gate, O'Rourke Reyes was David Goliath.
Richard Pineda directs the Sam Donaldson Center for Communication Studies at UT El Paso. At first, he says, an O'Rourke victory seemed highly improbable. Reyes, a former Border Patrol chief, was fairly popular. He'd served in Congress for nearly 2 decades and was endorsed by then-President Barack Obama. Former President Bill Clinton even campaigned for him.
There was a sense that Reyes would be able to bring in lots of big Democratic firepower. He'd be able to tap into some pretty deep pockets for money. And so right out of the gate, I think those things made that contest very, very lopsided.
O'Rourke was a relative newcomer with fewer resources and less political clout than Reyes. So how did he beat the odds? Well, for one, he launched a strong ground game, knocking on thousands of doors, a preview of his current campaign where he's visited every county in Texas. O'Rourke also promised to be a more present, committed representative than Reyes.
One of the things that was important for O'Rourke was to talk about where he perceived Congressman Reyes not showing up or not being present for conversations that were significant locally and not present on some issues that had national significance that could be anchored to El Paso and to the border.
Sound familiar?
Within months of being sworn to serve as your senator, Ted Cruz was not in Texas, he was in Iowa. He visited every single one of the 99 counties of Iowa. He went to New Hampshire, he went to South Carolina, he went to...
That's O'Rourke during a September debate against Senator Ted Cruz. The parallels don't stop there. Then, like now, O'Rourke took some attention-grabbing progressive stands. As a city council member, he pushed to legalize marijuana, a topic few Texas politicians would touch at the time. That led to this attack ad from the Reyes campaign.
Are you serious?
Legalizing drugs is not the answer. Even our children understand that.
It's slightly reminiscent of current ads against O'Rourke, like when he gained national attention and a guest spot on Ellen with this impromptu speech about why he supports NFL players who kneel during the national anthem.
Peaceful, nonviolent protests, including taking a knee at a football game to point out that black men, unarmed, black teenagers, unarmed, and black children, unarmed, are being killed at a frightening level right now, including by members of law enforcement, without accountability and without justice. And this problem, as grave as it is not going to fix itself. And they're frustrated, frankly, with people like me and those in positions of public trust and power who have been unable to resolve this or bring justice for what has been done and to stop it from continuing to happen in this country. And so
Ted Cruz responded with this political ad.
Nothing more American. Liberal Hollywood was thrilled. But do Texans agree?
Whoever believed that we would have issues about whether you're going to stand during the national anthem or not?
O'Rourke's progressive vision and grassroots people-powered campaign worked 6 years ago, and this time around it's bringing in tremendous amounts of money. O'Rourke raised a record-breaking $38 million in the last quarter of his campaign, more than any other Senate candidate. And that's without taking PAC money. Those contributions came from hundreds of thousands of individual donors nationwide.
We are doing something absolutely historic. Not just ensuring that we have the resources to run and to win, but to make sure that our democracy once again is powered by people and only people. People over special interests, people over PACs, people over super PACs, people over corporations.
But can O'Rourke beat the odds again in a statewide race where Republican turnout is traditionally higher? Richard Pineda at UT El Paso says it's still an uphill battle. but the race is more competitive than he originally expected.
If you had talked to me months ago as the race was really going, I would have said, this is folly. It's really not worth his time or his effort.
Just like when O'Rourke announced his campaign against Sylvester Reyes. For KRWG Public Media, I'm Mallory Falk.